What's going on, everybody? You found Bottom Tier Collector, and I'm your host, The Bearded One. As always, thank you for liking, subscribing, and commenting on my content. And today, I especially want to thank you, first-time collectors, day one collectors out there, for finding my channel. If you are a day one collector, this video is for you. I am hitting my 10th year in the hobby. I don't consider myself an expert by any means, but I feel like I'm seasoned enough. I've got enough life experience. I know what works for me in the hobby that I feel. I don't want to say entitled. I think I feel qualified to offer advice to new collectors in the hobby out there and pass the baton and hopefully keep future generations collecting comic books and keeping this hobby we all know and love, to quote Journals Comics, alive and well. So the first bit of advice I want to offer is just have fun. I've got a quote. Maybe I didn't come up with it. I'd like to think I did because I haven't heard it anywhere else. I can tell you right now, it is 100% an original thought. There's a right way and a wrong way to collect comic books. Now, this triggers a lot of people. They don't like being told how to collect their comic books. I don't like being told how to collect my comic books. But the fact remains, there is a right way and a wrong way to collect comic books. Nobody can deny this. The right way to collect comic books is to have, that's right, fun. Fun. F-U-N. Fun. It's a simple concept. And it makes me sound like I'm Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, kind of asking you to answer for me because it's such an easy answer. But it's kind of a deep concept because there's so many things that you can get sucked into that are not fun. You can get trapped into just the temptation and desire, strong desire of books that you may or may not know about. You can get sucked into all these negative opinions that are out there on the internet. You can maybe you suddenly found yourself with a bunch of comic books and you're overwhelmed, and that's not fun. So just however your personality works, if this is something you need to, if you need to rent a book, if you need to read something digitally first to say if I even like comic books before you buy your first comic book, or you need to buy a whole run of something first and then power through that run because you're a binge reader, you're somebody that binges stuff, or you're just going to buy a small handful of books and test them out. Whatever your approach may be, just make sure you're having fun. And I also say the wrong way to collect is to not have fun. And that just ties into everything I just said. Just have fun. It's supposed to be enjoyable. That's why we do this. It's not supposed to be something we take serious, and a lot of people do take collecting seriously. There's a lot of money that goes into these comic books sometimes, and that's where a lot of that energy comes from. And I think at the root of it all, we're all good people, and I think we all care, and we all just want to see comics be good. I think that's where all the energy, be it good or bad energy, comes from. But just at the end of the day, just make sure you're having fun. And that's all that's going to matter. Nobody else. And that goes hand in hand with the second piece of advice I'd like to give you. Just kind of block out the noise. As you grow and put some time into the hobby, I think it's plenty fine. That's part of the growth and development process in this hobby, as you're going to explore the internet, and you're gonna figure it. You're going to want to talk to other people. That's why I do this YouTube channel. The number one reason why I do this YouTube channel is for the social aspect of comic books, not to talk about comic books, but to interact with other people. And I'm using my hobby to do that. And then secondly would be, of course, I love talking about comic books, but you're going to want to talk about your comic books maybe that's most important to you is talking about your comic books versus meeting other people. But, you may get the desire to network and connect with other people. And that's just natural to be, around other opinions and thoughts on things. But I would just encourage you day one, before you've bought your comic books, maybe just tune out the noise. It can get distracting. It can sometimes add to the hobby feeling overwhelmed. All the noise can kind of get in the way sometimes, and you don't really do what you came. You don't really go to the store to do what you came to do, I guess. You find yourself being, and I hate using this because I don't believe we're all mindless zombies that just are wanting people to tell us what to do. I think there's just a very select few people that are that way. But, sometimes you do find yourself influenced by other thought and other opinion, even subconsciously. So just beware of that, the noise, as I like to call it, especially on the internet. The next piece of advice I would like to cover, just do you. Don't concern yourself with the wants and desires of anybody out there. Be they a YouTube creator, be they your own friend, be they somebody you see in the store when you're at the store. Just do you. Just whatever you like, whatever is fun to you, whatever you're into, just do that. And you're going to be in the hobby a lot longer, I think. You won't experience what's called burnout. And here's a little anecdote. My first time going to an LCS, I bought this Batman issue. It's the first issue I put in my hands when I got into the LCS. I was concerned with other people and what they thought of me. I was concerned about, what does a smart collector do? And a smart collector buys old vintage comic books because they're worth money. No, I did not believe they were worth millions of dollars, or no, I did not believe this is going to appreciate to be worth $1 million one day. But I just thought if you bought an old comic book, it's going to be worth a little bit of money in the future. And that may be the case. Maybe this comic book will appreciate over time, but you're talking fractions of a percent. This is a run filler. There's nothing important about this book. And I picked it up because, I thought maybe the owners would be impressed with me that I'm reading vintage Batman, or they might strike up a conversation with me. Or maybe my friends, I went to the LCS for the first time with 3 or 4 other people. I thought maybe they would be impressed that I picked up a vintage Batman comic book. And at the end of the day, nobody really cared. Everybody was doing their own thing. And I was the one picking up books that I didn't care about. I still haven't read this book to this day. I don't care to read it. I'm not going to read this comic book. The only reason I have this book anymore is I've taken everything I own that is Batman related, and I'm saving it for my son because he's shown a mild interest in Batman. And if one day Batman gets him excited, he wants to do collecting, I can get him started with a considerable amount of Batman books. The next thing I want to advise is go to an LCS. I really want to encourage you to go to an LCS. And if you don't know what LCS is, it's just an acronym for local comic shop. And I think first impressions on you are going to be really deep and impactful. My first impression of Lobo made such a deep, profound impact on me that I knew after I read the first page of Lobo, I knew this was for me. I knew this hobby was for me, and this is what I wanted to do. And so I think going to an LCS and holding books in your hand, the physical books in your hand, is going to mean a lot to you. the day one collector. You know, and you can go in there and you can see all the action figures. You can, maybe there's movies there. Maybe there's trade paperbacks and omnibus. You could go over to the trade paperbacks and flip through something, and if it looks cool, maybe pick it up. But I think there's benefits to. You can smell the oxidized paper in the air as well. I just think there's an experience there that you just cannot get online. And I think it's going to stick with you, your experience at an LCS. And I just hope that there's an LCS near you. I'm lucky. I can name 4 stores within a 30 to 45 minute drive. And then sometimes during the holidays, or somebody rents out a room at the mall in the next city over from where I live, and there will be a comic book store in the mall. There's also been a couple stores open and closed throughout my time here in the hobby. And then I'm still just a 2-hour shot away, straight interstate, from a very, very, very big city with several comic book stores. So if there's not something near you, maybe there's something within a day trip, and I would just encourage you to go to a store, if at all costs. The next thing I want to talk about, so let me gather my thoughts here. We've talked about having fun. We've talked about blocking out the noise. We've talked about doing you. Don't compete with other people. Don't concern yourself with other people. And we've talked about going to an LCS. Okay, now it's come to me. The last piece of advice I'd like to give you is, you're going to hear this a lot in the community. Buy what you love, and maybe this applies to some people. If you have an idea of what you love already, a certain character or whatever, go ahead and buy that. If you don't know what you love, because that's why I don't like this. I like this advice for early collectors, people that want to explore off of what they've already, gotten into the hobby with. I like that advice, but when it comes to day one comic book collectors, I don't like telling you guys to buy what you love, because you don't really know what you love. I thought I loved Batman. I went through a Batman phase. There's a podcast host I listen to named Shag. He does various podcasts, but he talks about a Batman phase. Everybody goes through a Batman phase, and it either sticks with them for life or it doesn't. And I had my Batman phase. It came and went. My earliest memories of Batman are from the mid to late 90s, the Joel Schumacher movies. I remember eating a lot of Taco Bell to get the toys and entering the sweepstakes for those movies. I remember the toys at Walmart and wanting those toys. I might have even had a Batman animated series figure. It's just all so blurry to me when I try to pick out details in my history. And then I remember the Batman Begins is really the watershed moment for me that, okay, I was into superheroes. Like, this is cool. And then after I saw Batman Begins, I went to the movie theater and saw The Dark Knight. And this kind of ties into the advice about going to an LCS. That experience of being in the LCS. Just making such an impact on you. Well, that's what the theater did to me with The Dark Knight. I remember coming out of there and saying, best movie ever. I came out of a theater that doesn't even exist anymore. It's been bulldozed over behind my city mall. Loved seeing that movie. And then when I saw The Dark Knight Rises, which is, spoiler alert, I don't know if I've talked about it before on camera. The Dark Knight Rises is my GOAT movie, and every time I watch it, I know the plot, I know how it ends, and I'm still just like on the edge of my feet, like, is he going to save the day? Man, I forgot. Commissioner Gordon played such an integral role. Anyways, I'm going on a rabbit hole. But I have such fond, you can see, I have such fond memories of that Nolan trilogy. It makes me smile when I think about those memories that I have with those movies. And that brought me, I kind of brought that with me to the LCS. And I think that played an influence on why I picked up the Batman book, because I knew Batman. I picked up this book. This is in my origin story, I know for sure. I put a GIF. This was all an accident. This was the early days of GIFs. Back when I had a MySpace profile when I was in middle school. I put a GIF of Lobo on my page somewhere because I learned basic HTML, and I could put in the code to put the sticker somewhere on my profile. I thought he was so cool. He was so metal. I was getting into like heavy metal music at the time, and for some reason, that image, that sticker, stuck with me, and I googled Lobo. Didn't know it was Lobo at the time. I googled that character. I don't even remember what I entered into. Maybe I described the character to the buddies taking me to the LCS, and they said, well, maybe it's Lobo. And obviously having a smartphone, googled it, and I knew right then and there that it was that guy. And I knew comics was for me as soon as I got this cover, loved the cover. Turned that page. This is the original copy, by the way. Turned that first page and read it, and I just knew Lobo was for me. Comics was for me. I was going to be here and do comics. That was going to be my new thing. That would get me out of a slump I was in. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I brought some of those memories with me to the LCS, and so I want to advise you to possibly do that as well. Be it, did you grow up on an animated series cartoon, or maybe even a real life show? Live action, not real life, live action. Do you have fond memories of toys? Did you have an old comic book laying around the house from your brother or your sister or your uncle or your aunt? Those are the kind of memories you might want to take with you to remember, maybe I should try this character out because someone in my family liked him, maybe my friends like him, or man, I loved that show when I was a kid. I think that can help. And I think that's what a lot of people mean when they say buy what you love. But again, I think figuring out what you like is more accurate to day one collectors. So I think that those memories you may have of things can help you figure out what you like. And then once you figure out what you like, then you can buy what you love. So I think I'm going to wrap it up here. Very basic video. This is for you day one people out there. To recap, have fun. There's only one right way to collect comic books, and that's to have fun. The wrong way to collect comic books is to not have, is not having fun. Block out the noise, the internet and opinions and cynicism in today's society, the culture, cancel culture and all that stuff. It just gets too distracting. So block out the noise. 3, just do you. Don't concern yourself with the needs and wants and desires of others. Don't feel like you need to compete with anybody. It's just too easy to feel like, man, I can't afford all these books my favorite YouTube creator or my friend's buying. I can only buy these books. Don't feel ashamed of that. Just, stick within your budget. Stick within things you like. And it all goes back to having fun. Go to the LCS, get that first impression of what the hobby has to offer. Get in the building and experience the nerdery, the awesomeness, the nostalgia. If you're old enough to have nostalgia, which if you found this video, I'm sure you're old enough to have nostalgia. And then 5, try to figure out what you like. So then you can transition into buying what you love. I don't know if I've said this already. It's like take 6. There's plenty of other advice videos out there. This is kind of a free tip, if you will, even though this whole video is free. But go find other advice videos and see what other people have to offer advice-wise, and just take what makes sense to you. Take what applies to you in your life and your personality and what you're interested in. Until next time, guys,